Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that right now. Hit that subscribe button right below. Seattle Seahawks at the Washington Commanders Sunday night. Seattle favored by 3 on the road here. Over-under is 47.5. Seahawks coming off of a bye, but the last time we saw them, the late night Monday night game, dominating the Houston Texans. They're 5-2. And the Commanders, we keep harping on, they're in the middle of this very difficult stretch. 3-5 coming off their Monday night loss to the Chiefs. And they've got this tough game against Seattle. They've got next week against Detroit. And unless Washington turns things around, they might be staring 3-7 right in the face.
Yeah, difficult stretch during which they've been extremely banged up and missing most of their important players. Jaden Daniels supposed to be back for this game with that hamstring injury that he suffered. McLaurin, though, went down, having already been injured, come back. Now they're calling it a hip flexor. When it was a quad injury previously, and it was reported as a quad when he went out of the game this most recent time.
They're all connected.
The hip's connected to the quad, connected to the knee, connected to the, yeah.
It's all close.
Anyway, he's probably not going to play, I would think. So you're getting your quarterback back, that's huge. You're still without Terry McLaurin, who's a really important player for them. So, yeah, I mean, it's good getting Jaden Daniels back in the lineup, but it would be nice to see the entire Washington offense healthy for once.
And then the same thing on defense. We already had concerns about their defense. They got on the edge. They're just beat up. Jacob Martin had a couple nice rushes early against Kansas City, but as that game went on, you saw Washington's lack of pass rush catch up, right? And we always talk about pass rushes as it's not just individuals winning, it's how often. Remember when Hutch would win all the time, but it was only him? And it was like, you got one guy coming at you, a QB can avoid that, and there's no one else. Like, there's no one else even compressing the pocket. I feel like that's how Washington is right now. Like, even if one guy wins, Javon Kinlaw knifes into the backfield, there's not enough, right?
Yeah.
When you watch Denver, there's like 4 to 5 guys coming at you at all points. And even if they're not winning their rep, they're at least close. They're compressing the pocket, and that's why they have so many sacks. So I just worry about Washington's pass rush, worry about their coverage unit because their back seven, they weren't even great last year. I don't think they upgraded. So I just don't like the way the team's built right now. And like, where were they going to have success this year? On offense, Jaden Daniels, they're big-time playmakers. The run game, the QB run game, all the ways you can keep defenses off balance, and they just don't have enough of that right now.
It is a weird pass rush because they've got a bunch of guys that are all winning at a reasonably decent level, but they don't seem to do it at the same time. And when they're not winning, they don't seem to have any impact. So it's not like, because winning, quote unquote, the pass rush win rate, those types of things, like the clean victory is not the only thing when it comes to pass rush. There's also, how much are you pushing the pocket? How disciplined are you in your gaps, your rush lanes, so that even if you're not going to get pressure, you can at least sort of hem the quarterback in, block him, keep him in a specific area. So you can have a positive impact as a pass rusher without actually getting any pressure. Now, it's limited, right? Can't be that good. But you can do good things. Washington seems to be, they've got like half a dozen, maybe even more guys that are getting a reasonable volume of pressure, but it's like when they don't get pressure on a play, they're doing nothing.
Yeah. That's why I got concerns about the Commanders defensively. And you got Seattle's offense, Sam Darnold, the only thing that slows down Sam Darnold is some of the decision-making, right, that showed up the last time we saw them on Monday night.
The weird, run into the end zone and panic thing.
Yeah, you've got a relatively clean pocket. It's being compressed. It's being pushed a little bit, but spinning out into a sack, fumbling in the end zone, throwing the ball to the defense a couple times. Now, that was against a great Texans defense.
Yeah.
But that's the question on Darnold. I think I've mostly come around. That slump that he had against Detroit, he was missing throws, and he was Detroit and then Minnesota last year.
The
Rams last year. He was taking too many sacks, wasn't seeing the field, missed some throws. But for the most part, the last 2 years, it's really just been like the turnover-worthy plays for Darnold. A couple plays a game. But he always bounced back from them and made big throws when he needed to. And it's just the disastrous throws, I think, and the disastrous decisions that can slow down Darnold right now. the way he's playing. And I think overall Seattle's doing a really nice job of using play action, giving him the shot plays. JSN's been so good on the outside. And then they're spreading the ball around with the other complementary playmakers, Cooper Kupp, the tight ends, and the whole deal. So I love the way Seattle's playing offensively, and their defense is fierce, man. Like, they've got this combination of pass rush and feisty coverage defenders playing press, just making throws tight window and difficult. So I think Washington could have some success there with their no huddle, getting into the right play. Cliff Kingsbury's offenses do a nice job of winning the box count and creating some mismatches there as far as the run game goes. But I just think Seattle's both sides of the ball, they're moving in the right direction, playing really well.
Yeah, I think their offense should have real success against this Washington defense. I just don't know that they have the tools either up front or on the back end to deal with what Seattle is able to do if Darnold is playing well. The question becomes more interesting, I think, on the other side of the ball, where you've got this fearsome Seattle defensive front. They're looking pretty good on the back end as well. But you have Jaden Daniels coming back. Now, the question to me is, how healthy is he when he's coming back? Because he's coming back from a hamstring injury. Like, if he's not 100% Jaden Daniels, able to do what he's able to do physically and athletically, like, he might be on the run quite a bit in this game. So if he's on the run and he has a dodgy hamstring, is that going to go again? Like, they need him to be fully good.
Same thing as the Lamar game against Detroit just really stands out, where Detroit sacked him 7 times. And I don't know that they were necessarily winning blocks. They were just compressing the rush lanes when Lamar was trying to escape. And most of the time when Lamar tries to escape, you don't stop him, right? And Jaden Daniels, I think, is even better at that. If he drops back to pass and he tries to escape as a scrambler, he is so good at feeling the rush and getting through there. That's also been, I think, a hallmark of all the Mike Macdonald-esque type of defenses. The Jesse Minter defense with the Chargers, they'll stunt a ton. I actually have that from 33rd Team info packet. When Seattle rushes 4, they're going to stunt 59% of the time. And it's just if you just watch the lines during a game against a mobile quarterback, and mobile quarterbacks will often read the end crashing down, and they're like, their eyes open up. They're like, boom, go, I'm going. They just crash down. I got this rush lane here to just take off and steal some yards. But you have the tackle looping around, you almost trap them, right? So that's a part of the game too. I think if Daniels has the hamstring problem, if he doesn't have that acceleration, McDonald and the defense with their stunts and twists up front can almost bottle him up and give him this like false positive. Hey, you could take off, and then you've got tackle looping around or a spy looping around. So I think that cat and mouse game is going to be really interesting as well, because the way Seattle plays up front, and then the way they play tight man coverage, it makes the quarterback more likely to take off. But if you play it well with your front 4, so I think I think they have the pieces to slow down Daniels, especially if that hamstring is bothering him, similar to Lamar, right, tonight.
I think you're seeing teams get a lot more sophisticated when it comes to spying quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like, you're seeing a lot more it looks very old school, like when one of the most famous quarterback spy games ever was when Seattle did it to Michael Vick, right, where they had Lofa Tatupu, just pure spying. Every single play, all Tatupu did was sit in the middle, eyes on Vick, and then the second Vick looked to break the pocket, Tatupu pounced on him, right, as the extra guy. You can't do that really anymore. The way that was just basically just take a guy out of the defense and have him eyes on the quarterback and nothing else. You've got to be more sophisticated than that now. But the way modern defenses are operating with all these games up front, with the way they're, manufacturing pressure, simulating pressure, all these kinds of things, I think now with all these athletic quarterbacks, they are weaving a spy into that in a way that they haven't for a while. And that was one of the elements of the Detroit game against Lamar, is that Alex Anzalone in particular, had a ton of interesting kind of spy roles within that game. I think you're going to see a lot of that in this game. There are going to be a bunch of plays where Daniels thinks he's got a lane or got a window to run, and a Seattle linebacker is going to come out of nowhere and just be ready for him.
Yeah, it's one of the fun cat and mouse games against mobile quarterbacks that you're seeing around the league. I think you're absolutely right. The creative ways of keeping them in the pocket with the front four plus a spy. And look, I think Seattle has a chance to do that really well. I like their pass rush against Washington. I like the way they play on the back end, especially if you don't have a McLaurin. Like, who you fearing for Washington and the way Seattle's been playing defense? I think it's going to be tough. I'll say it right now. I think Seattle's future comes down to Darnold turning the ball over. Oversimplified. If he turns the ball over, they still survived it a couple of weeks ago, but they gave Houston 15 drives, man. They gave them 14 drives, I think, officially. 14 drives, and that defense still held on for Seattle.
And that was the first time he'd really done that.
And that was the first time. But I'm just saying, like,
his turnover-worthy play rate had been like insanely good.
He's been outstanding this year. I'm just saying, if he has, like any quarterback, if he has those implosions, I'm just saying we've seen some of that from Darnold, even when he's been playing well. As long as he keeps taking care of the ball, he's throwing pinpoint downfield passes. He has been outstanding. Just don't have that implosion, and Seattle's going to be really tough to beat.
Even with the awful end zone fumble thing, I don't think that game was in the category of the Lions-Rams games from last year.
No, I agree.
Like, the difference between those two games felt like the seeing ghost Sam Darnold, where he literally, in that game against the Patriots way back when, I mean, he went to the sideline and made that line, he's seeing ghosts. Like, he had no idea what he was looking at. Like, he had just lost. He had completely lost control of what he was seeing on the field. And so at that point, he's basically saying, I shouldn't be out there, right? For all intents and purposes, that was the point he was making. And that was the same against Detroit and against the Rams. Like, he took a couple of bad sacks early on, and from that moment on, he was just lost, right? He was trying to make ridiculous things happen when they were never on, and was making things worse, and was taking sacks that he shouldn't. And there became a point where it was pretty clear, like, oh, Darnold is just, like, he's done. Like, he can't play in this game anymore. And obviously you have to leave him out there because he's played at an all-pro level for the rest of the season, and you don't have an alternative, right? He's got to stay out there and just take an ass kicking. The game against Houston wasn't that. He had a really bad play, like a meltdown play, but he didn't melt down in the game overall, even though the Houston defense is really good. So I don't think he's done that yet since those two games.
One last stat, we'll make our picks. Darnold is 20-plus yard throws, 17 of 25 for 609. Number one in the NFL in yards per attempt at 24.4, just ahead of Drake May, and number two in total yards. The downfield passing from Darnold, and it's just, like I've said a lot, it's an old-school Shanahan-Kubiak type of offense. Low volume, explosive plays. They're setting up play action, and when he has the opportunities, he's hitting them. And JSN, smooth route running, creating separation, catching the ball, looking great out there. I don't think Washington has anybody that can cover him. All right, man. Sunday Night Football should be fun. Seahawks by 3. Where are you going to go?
I'm going to go with the Seahawks to win and cover.
Same. I'll take Seattle, as will Harry in this one.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video.
Check the Mic is live Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss a video.
You heard the man. Subscribe.